Will Haaland be the greatest ever Premier League player? Do we think that if he sticks in the Premier League, then he's going to eclipse every other player in terms of goals scored? I presented a stat before we have that chat. I presented some stats in terms of goals per game. I've taken Haaland's current goals per game and compared it against the top 5 Premier League scorers of Kane, Aguero, Shearer, Cole and Rooney. Okay. Now, what prompted this for me to do this week is because Haaland got his 100th goal for City in all competitions, which is extraordinarily quick, really. I think it's fantastic. So his current goals per game is 1.3. Okay, so that's... How many games has he played? 70, 71? 73? It's
73, I believe it is.
I think it's 73. Okay.
So
he's obviously not played as many games as all the other players, and we know these stats are, not perfect, but 1.03 goals per game for Haaland. Kane, 0.67, Aguero, 0.67, Shearer, 0.59, Cole, 0.45, and Rooney, 0.42. So with those stats in mind, and looking at how Haaland's done, and looking at how he's currently doing in his 3rd season, Scott, what do you think? Do you think there's potential there for Haaland to get there, to become the greatest?
Greatest player, greatest goal scorer? Greatest player? Oh.
Well, that's an important difference, and you might want to highlight who you think, regardless of goals scored, who is the greatest player, if you've got someone in mind.
I don't think you can look past Thierry Henry in terms of the greatest Premier League player. And yeah, I know he was an Arsenal player, but it kills me to say that, but it's true. I think what he could do with a football was insane, to be honest. But if he stays there, and I think we spoke about this on the chat yesterday, if he stays there and Real Madrid don't offer stupid money or whoever it is, Barcelona, I think he'll do it. How old is he, 24? I think he'll do it. I think that... How many hat-tricks has he got in the 2 seasons? Is it 2 seasons he's been there? It's just insane.
This is 3rd season, isn't it?
3rd season. How many hat-tricks he got? 7, 8? No joke.
More.
No joke. 7 or 8?
More.
9, 10? He's
He's already got 2 this season, hasn't he?
Exactly. And he was close to getting another one a few game weeks ago. I mean, I think it's inevitable, really. Like most things in life, it's inevitable. And so I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to do it. And because the club he's paying for and the amount of players they'll bring in when needed, charges dependent, every time you watch him, you're just so scared. If you're like when he played West Ham, I thought he was going to knock about 6 past us, to be honest. It's just his movement. He bullies defenders. Look, the Ederson got an assist a couple of weeks ago. Straight through ball over, bullies the centre-back, 1-on-1, bosh.
Just imagine what he's going to do against those League 2 defenders next year.
Oh, God.
Hey, they're not going to know what's hit them.
Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland lining up at AFC Wimbledon with that hole in the pitch. Could you imagine?
Oh, no. Wow. That's quite funny to think about.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of Haaland. And I was at RB Leipzig. I was at Dortmund. And for a young player of his age to come to the Premier League and absolutely annihilate it so far, you've got to be a fan of football to watch that, you know? I don't think you can argue with that.
Signore, your thoughts on Haaland? Will he get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Scott and what most of the audience has put in the chat. I think he'll be the greatest ever goal scorer. You know, he's just a machine when like he's there. Like he needs 10 touches of the football to score 3 goals in a game. That's it. You know, but greatest player ever. I don't know. In the Prem, I know Scott mentioned Henry. I think it's like when you look at players like Paul Scholes, You know, aesthetically, I know people get hooked up on stats and stuff, but Paul Scholes for me was just incredible in the football. You know how he controlled everything for Man United. Guy retired, came back, and was still dominating. You know, it's just incredible. So, yeah, I think he stays. If he stays, he will break Shearer's record. I think there's no doubt about that. He could reach 300 Premiership goals.
Oliver in the chat says Tyler Dibbling will become the greatest player in the Premier of all time.
Do you know what? I've seen him a lot of game week 6 wildcards. To be honest, he's in their wildcard drafts. I'm not going to lie. I don't know who the geezer is.
He won't be if he gets tackled. Have you seen the size of the guy's shin pads? What is that protecting? Seriously, they could fit in a Kinder egg surprise thing. They're not right.
Anyway, go back to Haaland. You've mentioned that like greatest goal scorer but not player, and I completely agree with what you're saying in terms of player and goal scorer not being the same thing. What's missing from Haaland's game that makes him not comparable with someone like Henry?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I think football's a completely different game now. I mean, is it harder than it was back in the day? I don't know. But growing up, watching Henry do what he did with a football, anywhere on the pitch, on the wing, in the centre. I mean, he went to Barcelona, he went to the MLS, he came back to the Prem to join Arsenal on loan. I think he scored in their FA Cup. He just looked like he picked up where he left off. It kills me to say what a player. And a great pundit as well, by the way. He must be gutted now Kate Abdu's got married, but let's not talk about that.
Oh dear. Signore, any thoughts on that? What would it take for Haaland to swing it for you in terms of just being a great player and not just goal scorer?
I think just a bit more flair. But does he need to be? Like Shearer wasn't that sort of player, and he was an incredible goal scorer.
I think Haaland's got a lot of character. Did you see the video of him and Arteta the other day? Like, fantastic.
I'll tell you what,
fantastic.
I have loved, and I mean loved, everything that's come out from that game.
Yeah, I think
we have missed that in the Prem for a while. I'm not talking like us as some players that have got in real trouble, have been spiteful and been mean with some things, like either like a bad tackle or I'm not going to name players, but players that have spat, players that have bit other players.
Yeah,
players that have really been nasty on purpose. Like he is just a character. He was giving it to him last season, and then you could just see him doing like the mimicking. Like I can't remember who it was, but he was just like mimicking them, and I just found it funny, So it's good that we've got a character back, isn't it?
I think so.
You need it. You need it. Like you think about. Did you just say Mourinho as a manager?
No.
Okay. At least I'm not repeating. Last week I just repeated what you said. Mourinho was such a character. As a manager, Mourinho was a great character. Klopp was a great character. Is a great character. Pep's a great character. You need those footballers that are going to go in interviews and not know what to say because they're just so modest. Like I think we've got a great player on our hands.
Like that little bit of rivalry between I don't know why, but Maddison and Malpai. That social media banter they had, and they took it into games where Malpai was mocking his celebration. Things like that. We don't see a little bit of that. And I think it's just good entertainment.
Those days may come back. In terms of Haaland's longevity, if Pep goes, do you think Haaland stays?
I think so.
Are we talking that he's going to go because of the charges, or just going to go?
No, just aside the charges.
Just in general.
Just in general, it'll just say Haaland does a Klopp. He says, "Look, I've had a great run. Let's go and manage. I don't know, AFC Wimbledon or Inter Miami." It's a mad move.
Imagine those choices. You're sitting there going, "All right, son. Listen, we've got 2 offers on the table." Go off to the beach in Miami, or you can play in a sinkhole in AFC Wimbledon. But you can get there on a district line. What do you prefer? I mean, it's
Oh,
a
that's close.
catch-22, lads. It's a catch-22. Back to it. Yes, I think he stays. I think he's got a lot of affiliation with the club. You know, I know Leeds is his team, if you wish. His dad started off at Leeds, but his dad also played at City. And before his big injury and his retirement, I think he loves the club. And you can tell, you can see that as well when he plays. I think he'd stay.
Okay, so we reckon he'll stay. We reckon he's got a good chance of overtaking everybody to become the greatest goal scorer, but not necessarily the greatest player.